All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new DC update. Now, if you haven't already watched my video, I did a video earlier today about the Rotten Tomatoes score for Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. And if you haven't seen that, you're going to want to go check that out. And on that note, if you like today's video, if you could be so kind as to hit that like button, and if you're inclined, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you will be notified as I have new videos go up. YouTube allows me to promote 3 videos a day. Outside of that, you might miss something. And I am having 3 videos go up today. I had that Rebel Moon video go up. You've got my DC update now, and I will be doing a TV show and movie update after this one as well. And so if there's breaking news and I have to do another video, if you're not subscribed, you won't even know that that video went up. And I would encourage people to actually check out my page once in a while and go into the videos, and you'll see the newest ones listed first, because YouTube has changed the way their algorithm works, and they're only going to promote certain films or certain videos. And so you want to make sure that you're not missing content. I do appreciate all the support. I'm only like 29 subs away from 10,000, and I'm really happy with all the support I've received, and I will continue to do these videos. So let's take a look at the photos I've grabbed since yesterday. All right, so the first photo I have here is at Charlie Hunnam, and he is a really good actor. I first saw him in Sons of Anarchy, which is an incredible show, one of my favorite shows of all time. Shares that he was offered the role of Green Arrow, presumably in the DCEU, but he declined, and so he decided not to do it. But he would make a perfect version of Green Arrow without question. Now, I wanted to talk about this post by James Gunn. This is one of the rare times where I agree with James Gunn here. I see no issue with what he's saying here, but somebody said and asked James Gunn, what happened to DC not selling themselves out to everyone and being all divided? I guess there's a new Batman movie at Amazon. The entire DCU is on Netflix, and maybe more coming, just to name a few of the recents. I can't wait to hear more lies from your mouth, especially when Superman flops. Thanks for keeping up the confusion. And I agree that there is confusion. That's the one thing I do agree with. Now, James Gunn's response here, I think this is one of the few times where I agree with him. He says, not sure where the anger is from, but you misunderstand. DC projects being spread across different platforms, so that's more people having access to the stories. It's not the same as not having any cohesion in the DCU timeline, which we very much do. Starts with Creature Commandos. Now, he's lying there because in his other video, his announcement video, he said this started way back with The Flash. And then he said it started with Blue Beetle, and then he said it goes down the line. But at any rate, he said, Merry Little Batman on Amazon is a fun animated kids movie that was already being made when we came aboard. But Elseworld animated projects like this will keep happening. I'm not sure how that's confusing. And I agree with him. They are and guys know that they're licensing this stuff out so that they can make some money. Now, my issue with this is these projects not being on HBO Max specifically. Because with them owning DC, if I'm subscribed to their streaming platform, I would expect all the DC content to be on there as well. But it's not. Believe it or not, I don't know if we're ever going to see that Merry Little Batman on Warner Brothers Discovery or Warner Brothers the Max app. I think it's going to be strictly only on Amazon. And same with the new Caped Crusader show that is going to be coming out. That was supposed to hit this year, but looks like it will ultimately be coming out next year because we only have a few weeks left this year and there's no talk about it at all. Now, this is something else I wanted to bring up, and this is going to open up some old wounds, but it says, 1 year ago today, our brave new head of DC, James Gunn, gave the Superman of our generation an early Christmas present by firing him. And this came directly from Henry Cavill himself, and I told you he had an agreement, and the studio told him to announce that he was back and do all this stuff, and I told you they knew they were going in a different direction, and this was an attempt to sell more tickets, and it was a deception by the studio to sell more tickets for Black Adam. He said, I have just had a meeting with James Gunn and Peter Safran, and it's sad news, everyone. I will, after all, not be returning as Superman. After being told by the studio to announce my return back in October, prior to their hire, this news isn't the easiest, but that's life. The changing of the guard is something that happens. I respect that. James and Peter have a universe to build. I wish them and all involved with the new universe the best of luck and the happiest of fortunes. For those who have been by my side through the years, we can mourn for a bit, but we must remember Superman is still around. Everything he stands for still exists, and the examples he sets for us are still there. My turn to wear the cape is past, but what Superman stands for never will. It's been a fun ride with you all, onwards and upwards. This was a stab in the back for all the fans. Everybody was excited after Black Adam, and then this happened, and this is when things started to change, and this is where I started to get irritated with what was going on, and then it just got worse from there from all the lies by James Gunn and what the studio has done since. So George Clooney finally opens up on his cameo in The Flash, and if he'll return as Bruce Wayne Batman in the future. And let's find out what he said. Now, personally, I always thought he made a good Bruce, but not a good Batman, because all he did was smile and act goofy in the film he was in. But let's see what he had to say. George Clooney jokes that Batman cameo in The Flash was a one-time occurrence. Somehow, there was not a lot of requests. The star returned to the role of Bruce Wayne in the DC film this summer after 25 years away. George Clooney shocked the DC Universe this summer when he returned to the role of Bruce Wayne after 25 years for a cameo appearance in The Flash, and is now confirming that was a one-and-done reprisal. Clooney infamously played Bruce Wayne Batman in Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin, the 1997 movie that was considered one of the worst superhero films of all time. The actor has repeatedly spoken out against the film, telling Howard Stern in 2020, Akiva Goldsman, who won the Oscar for writing since then, he wrote the screenplay, and it's a terrible screenplay. He'll tell you, I'm terrible in it. I'll tell you. So he doesn't like the movie either, and most people don't. It's a ridiculous movie. There were some cool characters in it, but it was a ridiculous movie. Now, we're going to look at a couple of things here that I think are very interesting. The first, James Gunn says he has heard a pitch for the Batman 2, but there is no script yet. Now, I'm not sure why James Gunn is in charge of this, because I thought the Elseworld stuff was going to be done by Pam Abdy and Mike DeLuca, and that he was only in charge of the DCU. I think they're stretching him a little thin, and so I'm not sure why he has to hear the pitch for this and agree to this. It shouldn't be his choice, but he is the head of DC Studios, along with Peter Safran. But at any rate, there is no script yet for the Batman 2. All the energy is in the Penguin right now. I'm sure that they are working on a script, and it should be delivered shortly. Now, this was also interesting. It says, James Gunn clarifies why a composer hasn't been announced for Superman Legacy. He said, I'm not sure the deal is closed yet. I have to check. I know that sounds crazy, since so much of the score has been written. Now, I'm going to explain something here. I am a sound guy. Being a voice actor, know that with animated movies, you always do the voiceovers first. Same when you create videos and anything that's going to be broadcast, it's always good to do the voiceovers first and create the video around the voiceovers. And what's interesting is with soundtracks, it's the other way around. The music is created after those scenes have been done. So the film, the composers don't do music before the movie is completed. They do it after the movie has been filmed so that they actually have film to score to. And what's interesting about this is that most of it has already been written, and what this tells me is, since they're nowhere near doing the actual score for the film, that they're probably going to go back and use the music that was done by John Williams. That's my guess. That's my only guess on this as to why he could make a comment like that, is the fact that they're going to be reusing John Williams' score. So this is just a bizarre, weird comment. There needs to be some clarification in regards to this. It's just really odd. Now, this here adds to more confusion. These are the things that I don't like from James Gunn. It's better that he just doesn't respond when getting asked stuff like this. Just get off of social media. But it says the Superman Legacy suit is mostly done, according to James Gunn. When asked if the suit will be more classic, modern, or something totally new and different, Gunn responded, all of the above. That is not a clarification in any way, shape, or form. And if they go too weird with it, you're going to turn fans off, turn audiences away immediately. There's an expectation with the Superman suit, and if they don't meet that, I think you're going to lose the audience right away. Now, this is kind of interesting. Variety posts their worst movies of 2023, and there is a picture of The Flash as their number one. I didn't read the actual article. I meant to, but didn't have time to. But the fact that they showed that kind of made me laugh, because that is definitely not in my top 10 films of the year. Somebody said that film better be in my top 10. The Flash is definitely not in my top 10. In fact, I liked Blue Beetle more than I liked The Flash. Now, here's another bit of news in regards to the Batman, and this is something that I've known, and I've reported on this in the past. But James Gunn says that Robert Pattinson's Batman is not in the DCU because it's Matt Reeves' choice. It's Matt's choice, and we respect that. It's one of the things that Matt Reeves fought for. He wanted to keep this as its own separate universe, that this is a one-and-off Batman, kind of like what Christopher Nolan did with his trilogy, that his Batman is not part of anything else, it's his universe, and that he wanted to play in that sandbox and not be tied to anything else that the DCU is doing. In fact, he didn't even want to be a part of The Flash when they did that. They went back and showed all the different iterations of these characters. If you notice, there was no Matt Reeves Batman in that either, because he wants this to be completely separate from the DCU entirely, not even part of the multiverse. All right, so there's something I wanted to address with one of the videos I did recently about the Warner Brothers stock and being in trouble. And I want to make something very clear here. I am a businessman. I run my own business, and I was actually a Nabisco salesman for 20 years, and I understand sales and business quite well. In fact, as a voice actor, I still get contacted by companies to go work for them, but I have no interest in doing that. I'm very happy being a voice actor. I've done it full time for 10 years, and I absolutely love the job that I have. I love it to death. So I'm not going back into business, but I understand business. And a couple people made some really good comments about Warner Brothers Discovery being on, even though they're in the toilet, that things aren't as bad as they are. And that they have set a long-term goal to get out of debt, and that they're actually ahead of that goal. And that might be the case, okay? And I understand business, and I understand that kind of a setup. But here's the problem. And this is why things are so bad. And trust me, there's a whole thing going on with Disney right now. They're trying to take over, people on the board are trying to take the company over, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on with Disney because of how bad the stock has gotten. And Warner Brothers is in much, much worse shape because their stock is the worst it has ever been. It's near that $10 mark. Now, you might be ahead of your schedule to get rid of that debt, but it's still going to take them 6, 7, 8 years to do it. Investors, I don't think, are going to wait that long because investors care about the stock prices. The stock market cares about stock prices. And when your stock continues to dive, and I'm telling you right now, Aquaman comes out and it does terrible. And unfortunately, Warner Brothers Discovery, their stock is driven by their image. And every time one of these movies like The Flash or Blue Beetle comes out, their stock gets lower. And with Aquaman 2 coming out next week, it could go even lower. And then if Superman Legacy fails, it's going to go even lower. So if things get so bad, yeah, you could see bankruptcy. You could see investors starting to pull out. There are going to be all kinds of bad repercussions. So to say that they're in a stable position and working their way upward might technically be correct. But in all actuality, things are really bad with their stock prices, and their investors are only going to deal with this for so long. So no, things are not good for Warner Brothers Discovery, and they continue to make asinine decisions and turn away from their fan base, which just absolutely freaking amazes me. It just amazes me the path that they've decided to take, and they're going to continue to suffer for it. So there is my video for the day. I do appreciate the support. We will see you on the next DC update.